Oh, oh, where are you going? Hey, listen, if I'm going to take the time to teach you how to do all this stuff, then you get your butt back out in that garage. And then you smash the subscribe and like button because I'm an awesome guy and I like to give free information. So you should do me a favor. But don't be walking away. We got things to learn today and to fix. So you better go grab your tools and get out in that garage right now. Right now. What are you waiting for? Go. Jeez. Now, before I went any further here, because this thing's about to be running, I just wanted you guys to see that the water never actually made it up into the valves. That's why all of this is in perfect shape, because they never tried to run it while it had water in it. So none of the valves in oil or none of the salt water got up this high. Now the cam chain, because we've been turning the chain, as you can see, because there was oil down there when we were turning it, the chain actually does have, you know, water and oil mixture. You can see the milkshake on it down there, but the valves themselves and everything inside here never actually got it. So I just wanted to show you that so that anybody that was curious could see that all of this was going to end up being in good shape. So the water never actually got up into the valve system, which is a huge plus. That means that it was just trapped as an air pocket inside there. So the cylinder really is the only thing that got it, and the lower engine case. So the valves and stuff are all in perfect shape. So we're going to go ahead and put this back on, but I just wanted you guys to be able to see that for yourselves and see that it's just standard oil inside there. That's all that's up here is normal oil. We are having a huge storm right now outside. That's what you're hearing. That was lightning and thunder. If you want to see how bad it is right now, I'll go ahead and pop the garage open. You can see for yourself. It's pretty wild out there at the moment. Looks like our driveway is almost starting to flood out at this point. Oh yeah. There you go. Yeah, it looks like our road is pretty flooded out there. We're getting a lot of rain really quick. So, anyways, I got all my tools out here, so I don't want to leave this open for too long. Let me close that back down. Okay, welcome back. So, here's the deal. Fuel pump fixed, all that. Unfortunately, one of my wires down there, what I thought I was hearing, what I thought was fuel pump pressure, was actually not fuel pump pressure. It was the actuator opening and closing the butterfly when I would turn the key. And so I thought that was the fuel pump that I was hearing. It was actually this piece right here turning that valve right there. So when I turn the key on, you can see that the actuator kicks, okay? So I thought that was the fuel pump building pressure. It was not. So anyways, after going through the whole fuel pump and realizing that there is something wrong with the wire plug down there, one plug was not getting any juice at all. So what I ended up doing was bypassing. So this is the tank sending unit. This is for the fuel sending unit. I ended up bypassing all that, running a black line straight to, or a ground from the top of the tank over to here, okay? And then the power wire, just because all we're trying to do is get this thing running. That's it. And I run the power wire now directly to the battery, which then produces the proper amount of fuel so I can get the fuel up to this point. So once it's here, we're good to go, okay? So it's clearly pulling fuel now and getting it up to the fuel injector. Well, then the fuel injector was clogged. So I pulled the fuel injector out and I ran it through my pulsing kit. And finally, I got a very good solid spray pattern. So I put all that back together. So now we have fuel getting to it. So then it ran for a second, then turned off during my testing. And I realized there's still a problem, but it's not fuel related. So I pulled the spark plug and lo and behold, I was getting one single spark when it would turn over and then it wouldn't spark anymore while it kept turning over. So that leads me to believe there's wiring problems elsewhere. Okay, so the fact that it's receiving a signal is good. It means it's receiving a signal, right? The problem was I thought that maybe the coil was bad. So I unplugged the coil and plugged in a secondary coil here, just a quick test coil. And with the test coil, it's still doing the same thing. So here's what I know. The coil's still in good shape, so I'm going to take my connectors. By the way, one of the connectors was so corroded it just broke off, so I replaced that connector. So I'm going to have to run these back down there and plug that back into that coil. Clearly the salt water did its job on that one connector. So I will unplug those, plug them back in. What that tells me now is because I only have one spark and it's weak spark, we have a problem with the Magneto, or we have a problem with the camshaft positioning sensor or the pickup coil, which means I have to tear the exhaust off and the whole back half of the engine has to come off so I can have a look inside there and see exactly what's going on, which means all that oil we just put in there for the engine, I now have to drain out, and then we have to remove that entire engine cover off of there. So we got our work cut out for us, unfortunately. we gotta pull those covers all the way down along that side skirt, and yep, so that's just as easy as grabbing things and pulling it off, right? So I have to pull this up. We'll get this up high enough that we can remove these screws and stuff down here. So we'll pull that, pull those, pull here, pull that tab off, and then we should be able to pull this away enough that we can extract that case. But clearly we have to remove the exhaust pipe first. So now I have to get up underneath here, loosen the exhaust pipe, pull the entire pipe off and out of the way, and then we can extract that panel, pull it away, and then pop that side cover off. So first things first, let's drain the oil again. All that fresh oil we just put in there, we're about to take all that oil right back out because I need to look behind this cover and see what's going on with pickup coil. If I had to take a guess, either the pickup coil is the problem or the camshaft position sensor is the problem. And if you know anything about how magnetos operate, they are normally copper wound systems. And because there was salt water in here, I'm going to go ahead and assume that it probably corroded some of these tips on these things, and we can carefully clean them off, and we might be able to get this thing to start registering spark again properly. So we got our work cut out for us, for sure. I'm not giving up on this project just yet. The fuel pump in itself took hours to resolve, trying to figure out what was going on with the multimeter and going through that whole system. But now that I've got that solved, and we know that all this is functioning with the key, that means that the only reason this thing is not running now is the fact that we have weak spark. So if we're going to chase that, I've eliminated the process of it being the coil by testing another coil, and it still does one thing: simple spark, done. So that tells me that our problem is going to be behind this engine cover over here. So let's get started. I hope that explanation kind of helps. Basically what happens is that sends a trigger signal when the flywheel turns. It sends a trigger signal to the CDI, and then the CDI fires on the correct timing when it's supposed to, and the engine turns and starts up. If there's a problem with the sensor down here, then it's going to read weak spark or an issue. It's going to spark one time. This is very, it happens honestly all the time when sensors fail, but we're going to go ahead and assume that it's failing because this right here probably has rust in this case. So knowing that that's the fact and this was flood damage, I'm going to go ahead and assume that our problem is either the pickup coil, the magneto, or the camshaft position sensor is our issue. And all of those, unfortunately, are behind this cover. So to move any further, we got to extract the oil and pull the cover. Let's get going. So I apologize, there's a little wind on my microphone right now. I got my fan on because it's very hot. So let's talk about this for a sec. So I pulled the magneto cover and drained all the oil. As you can see, there was still water in there, a little bit dripped down into the pan on the bottom. So once again, our brand new oil is mixed with a little bit of water. It is what it is. I'm not that concerned about it. We're just going to run it for a minute on the new water if we get it started, or on the new oil if we get it started, and then we'll turn it off again. There's still plenty of lubrication process in there, so we're good. But yeah, a lot of the water kept leaking down and still managed to mix with the oil, so it is what it is. I've completely cleaned this piece now and put it back in. I kind of want to talk about this for a sec. So I told you guys we were getting bad spark. That's because that pickup coil right there, you can see I cleaned off the end of it now. That pickup coil had rust flakes all over it from spinning around. Because there was like slight magnetics, it was sticking to this. Something tells me that's where our weak spark was coming from. So now that I've completely cleaned this case really, really well, we're going to go ahead and slap this back on there, retighten everything, and then we're going to try to start this scooter again. So I just wanted to make sure that all of this was nice and clean before we put it back on there. For obvious reasons, we don't want rust flakes getting back in there again. But I just want to say this. This is my last attempt at repairing this, okay? If this does not fix it, if this doesn't fix the weak spark, I will not be going any further with this scooter. We're going to cut it off here because my whole objective was to not spend any money in parts. I just wanted to see if we could get this thing running and get the electrical and all that stuff working without basically spending a dime outside of having to change the oil and things like that. I didn't want to make a huge investment in the scooter considering I'm just going to end up using it for parts. I just thought it'd be fun to see if we could actually get this girl ticking after a year of sitting with salt water in it and hurricane damage. So we're going to put this back together. I have a feeling, hopefully, if I'm correct, that should solve the weak spark issue because it was not reading all of this and it was creating very strange magnetic flow inside there, which would definitely cause the system to have weak spark. So now that that's solved, we're going to go ahead and slap this thing back together. So I'm going to flip this around. We're going to put the case back on. We're going to start the whole process backwards here of tightening everything back down. I just want to make sure that all my seals are good. I try not to bang this up. This was very difficult getting this off because, as you can see, with all that salt water in there, it did rust a few of these components, and it was making all this stuff grab pretty good onto the shaft. And so anyways, long story short, I did clean all of that out. There shouldn't be any more rust particles inside of there that could cause an inconvenience to this. So let's put this back together and we'll see what happens. Let me flip this around. Boom, start slapping it back on. I'll reintroduce the oil to the engine and we'll hope for the best. So unfortunately, guys, I pieced it all back together after doing that. And yeah, it's still only producing one spark and then it gives up. And that tells me that the coil is good, the pickup coil is good, the Magneto is good. Our problem is coming back to our CDI is shot, and I'm not purchasing a CDI unit for this because the CDI unit's like $300 used. But if I turn the key on, you'll see that it just sparks one time and then it's done. That was it. Spark once, done. Well, that tells me that there's still wiring problems or CDI problems. I'm guessing the CDI box got really bad and corroded, and that requires full teardown of all that, plus the $300. It's just not worth it. It's not worth chasing. It's unfortunate, but the throttle body's good. There's a bunch of good usable engine parts on here. I'm going to take out the fuel assembly. That's still good. I'll keep that. And the connector for it, I'll go ahead and have that. Even though I bypassed it, I left it just in case I had to reconnect it. So I've got one for mine. So yeah, that's unfortunate. The engine's good, just all the electronics are completely trashed. They're just trashed. So unfortunate, man. I really wanted to hear this thing run, but hey, that's the name of the game. It's the game you play when you buy flood damage stuff. You know, with the amount of bypassing and corrosion and wiring issues that I've had so far with this, it's no wonder that you know, this thing was on its way out. So I'm gonna steal all the parts that I want from it. That's what's going to end up happening, and then pull all the plastics, individually sell those. I'll take the engine out. I'll sell that individually. The engine's still good. The engine has solid compression across the board, and the internals of the engine look really clean. So I'm glad that we got all the salt out and, you know, took care of all that. So I do need to remove that new starter that's in there, the starter solenoid. There's a whole bunch of different stuff that just got put on here. I'm going to pull all of the relays off the front of this so that I have those relays, because those relays are very expensive. But I'm going to go ahead and remove all of that because that's all brand new. So yeah, there's a lot of brand new stuff, unfortunately, that I have to now take off. So it is what it is, man. I mean, that's, like I said, that's the name of the game. You buy flood damage stuff. Sometimes it ends up being a real project and you invest a lot of time. We're almost 30 hours into this project now, and I'm done. I'm calling it. There's a certain time where you got to figure out what your time is worth and what you're willing to spend on just a simple little project that, you know, you were playing around. I'm already $200 in the hole on the project. And if I spend another $300, well, now we're at $500. You know, it's just not worth it. It was just something to have some fun. And, you know, all else failed, I got engine parts. And so that's where we're at now, unfortunately, is I got engine parts and body panels and parts. So I'm going to strip it. We're going to strip it and rip it. That's what's going to happen. unfortunate. Really is. I was hoping that we were going to get a killer deal on that thing and we were going to make it run and it was just going to be fun. But hey, don't win every battle. You know what I'm saying? Just don't win them all. So I've got enough cuts and scrapes and bruises, and I've ripped my hand open now numerous times. This scooter has cost me a lot in new scars and scratches and cuts. So I'm kind of glad to be putting this project to rest. The scooter has given me more marks than I care to admit. So anyways, guys, even though we couldn't get it running, I hope that tutorial on how to save this stuff, sometimes you get lucky, you can. The electronics are too far gone. If I had been able to rescue this maybe a month after the hurricane, I think I could have probably saved it from all this. But a year, that's a long time. A year with all that salt damage and nobody, you know, giving anything a freshwater flush. It was worth a chance. The fact that we even got power to it, turning over, the throttle body working, the fuel pump coming on, all that kind of stuff, that was amazing to me. And that we were able to save the cylinder and get, you know, good compression out of it. Again, amazing. These are all amazing things. But you can't win them all. We didn't win this one. So, alrighty, guys, I'm going to go inside and wash up and put this project to rest. I got enough grease on me now to last me a couple days. I'll go to work tomorrow. My boss will be like, "What the fuck? How did you get so dirty, bro? Where are all these new cuts from, Dan? Are you a cutter? Are you a cutter, Dan? What's wrong with you?" So, anyways, catch you on the flip. Toodles.